My name is Trey Walk. I graduated Duke in the class of 2019.
My name is Abby Gay. I graduated from UNC, and I'm the class of 2017.
I now work for an organization called the Equal Justice Initiative, and it's a nonprofit legal organization. And a lot of what our work is sort of responding to and trying to help people in our criminal justice system, so providing free legal services and trying to work against the crisis of mass incarceration. And then over time, we started doing a lot of work to help America sort of confront its history of racial injustice. And so I help a lot on EJI's racial justice projects and helping people learn about and think about how our history shapes the conditions we live in today. And I'm based in Alabama, and I think one of the sort of most obvious ways Robertson shaped that is I spent my first summer in Mississippi learning about civil rights history and blues history, and I studied history at Duke, and Robertson just opened up a lot of windows for me to dive deeper into sort of appreciating how history shapes a lot of issues that go on today. I sort of came in thinking I was going to do policy stuff, and then I kept always wondering, okay, well, why are things the way that they are right now? And I think Robertson helped me have a lot of experiences where I could ask those questions. And there's no right way or right path, I think, in the Robertson community. It's everyone's really encouraged to like try to answer the questions that they have about the world and to go find answers to those things and be in those communities and solve those problems. And so I think that Robertson sort of helped me in that way too, and I feel like I'm sort of doing that at work now.
I work for JP Morgan, where I'm on their impact finance team. As far as when I think about how the Robertson impacted my current career, it's really a culmination of a lot of my summer experiences. So my first summer, I was living in Whitesburg, Kentucky, and I was working at a nonprofit there that was focused on the Center for Rural Strategies. So it was thinking about how we can work to have a high impact on rural areas of America as a combination of policy and with business. And then the following summers, I took a more business-oriented route where part of the summer I was working for a large consulting firm that was helping companies think about how they could publicly list and what markets they might be interested in moving into and how that could be globally a more impactful company. And then also working with different startups. So working in Indonesia with a Hawaiian shirt company that was launching their first operations and thinking about how you can help startups and how you can make their businesses grow. So I think that my current job is really a culmination of a lot of my summer experiences with the Robertson and how you can think outside of just a traditional, I'm gonna work in business and this is what business looks like. And so it's a different way of thinking about how you can really shape new markets and shape future companies.
I think Robertson's focus on having a collaborative learning environment has been really helpful for me in that a lot of the work that I do is team-based and working with other really smart and passionate people, and Robertson just gives you lots of exposure to environments like that. And I think Robertson brings in people who have really strong values and opinions and thoughts about the way the world should be. But I think we also try to create a culture where you're encouraged to listen to other people and to take their opinions and points of view really seriously. And I think there are lots of other scholars who have shaped the way that I think about things, but I think that would only happen if we were sort of encouraged to show up and actually, bring humility to those situations, just being willing to actually learn and be interested in the perspectives of other people.
I agree. I think the Robertson program really shows you that there are all sorts of different kinds of leaders and the different backgrounds that all the scholars bring and their different interests and different passions and even different styles of leadership really create an environment where you can learn from so many different people, and everyone has a niche of something they're interested in or a new viewpoint that they bring, and how important that is for your own personal development as well as to achieve something that's greater for everyone when you can learn from those different viewpoints and the diverse perspectives that they bring in a way that's collaborative so that you can yourself be a better version of yourself.
I think the program allowed me to find new values and then dive deeper into ones that I had. And I always go back to community summer because I just learned so much there. And I think a lot of the communities that I'm committed to today, I sort of begin to like stand in those commitments, I think, during community summers.
I think the Robertson program really encourages you to think about yourself as a global citizen as well. So whether it's a global citizen that's traveling abroad, working abroad, understanding different cultures, having exposure to different kinds of people and different issues around the world, but also a global citizen at home as well in whatever community you're in, because the majority of your existence is in these microcosms of whether you're at UNC or whether you're at Duke, and broadening your view of whether it's at Switch and all of a sudden you're picked up and taken out of Chapel Hill and placed into Durham and living in this new environment, and what are your experiences that you can bring there and what can you gain from existing there and understanding even just the cultural differences of Duke versus Carolina. And then, of course, when you do actually go abroad, or when you're bringing the American viewpoint and being representative of whatever it is within one, like how you're seen as an American abroad, and also how you're seen as a Carolina student, a Duke student, a Robertson scholar. I think that the Robertson really encourages you to embrace yourself and what you have and what your background is, but also to learn from all the other different cultures that you're exposed to.
Yeah, I think just I love that, and I think that one thing that I feel like our class was always wrestling with in the program was what it means to build roots in a place, and then also what it means to be able to go to different communities and to show up and to learn about the cultural differences and to like appreciate that new place and those people, even if you aren't from there. And I think that that's exactly right, that the program like helps you sort of figure out that balance and how to do that well.
I love Campus Switch.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I know it's a controversial when you're doing it, because people are very hesitant to pick up their roots after they've just gotten friends
Right.
and they're involved in so many organizations and everyone's an overachiever, and so you stretch yourself too thin. And I think that use the Switch as an opportunity to drop all of your previous commitments and really focus in on things that are important to you, and use the time while you're at Duke or while you're at Carolina, depending on which campus you're on, to explore everything that university has to offer. And I loved it. I joined the equestrian team at Duke. I joined a food publication at Duke, and I really tried to commit to staying here and really understanding what it was like to be in Durham, what it would have been like to be a Duke student. Not as fun as being a Carolina student, I learned.
I think that's right in some ways, I think.
But it also makes you appreciate your home campus a lot more when you get back to it as well. So I think it's a phenomenal part of the program and a supremely underrated piece that really no one else gets to experience outside of being a Robertson scholar. So it was an amazing, amazing semester.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my switch too, and I went into it and I was really nervous about sort of hitting pause on things over at Duke to sort of try to fully immerse as much as I could in Chapel Hill, and I was splitting my time back and forth, and then I tried to more and more just spend more time at Chapel Hill, and I used it as an opportunity to really just reevaluate what my commitments were, and I think that it was fun because I'm very ambivalent about, I don't know if I should say this on camera. I'm very ambivalent about like the Duke UNC basketball thing. I'm like, whatever, like it's great, whoever's winning. And so I would always try to.
You definitely shouldn't have said that on camera.
I shouldn't have said it on camera. Yeah, but I try to like time.
It's because Carolina basketball is better.
Oh, I don't know.
Very ambivalent
I'm not gonna say that on camera. I'm not
better.
gonna say that on camera. But I would try to time where I was on the Duke UNC basketball game based on who I thought would win, just so that I could be at whichever campus was like celebrating that night. Because I was like, I don't want to be around a bunch of like sad people after a basketball game. So
you were always in Chapel Hill.
No.
Okay.
I was at Duke. Well, there was one game specifically where I was over in Chapel Hill, and then Duke was about to win, and so we caught the Robertson bus back over to Duke and made it back to campus just in time for the bonfires to celebrate Duke winning. So that was a fun thing that only Robertsons can do. And just like the campuses have different academic strengths, there's different social strengths. There's just little differences that you're able to pick up on between the two campuses that I think are a really good opportunity to just uproot and see like what this other place is about. And then when you go back to Duke, or back to UNC, you can think about, what did I like about here? What do I want to take? What lessons do I want to take from this other place? I think that the Robertson program sort of presents a question to people. It says, who are you and what are you committed to, and what do you want the world to look like, and how are you going to help the world get there? And that world can be, big global world. It can be a smaller world or community within that. But I think that so much of the Robertson is thinking about your values and your commitments and who you want to be in the world. And I think a lot of my experiences in the Robertson were sort of getting me to ask that question of myself, getting me to ask that question of the communities that I was able to interact with during summers or throughout the school year. And I think that I just had a lot of opportunity to practice a lot of the sort of skills that I'm able to use in my work now.
I think the Robertson challenges you to think about leadership in a way that is different than just the traditional path or how people think about traditional leadership or the path to whatever it is you want to get to. I think that they provide so much encouragement, support, and really make you think outside of the box of, oh, if I want to be here, here are the steps I need to take to get there. I think that, especially within the business world, a lot of people think, oh, okay, well, you need an internship your sophomore year and then doing something similar your junior year, and then you go have your dream job. And there you are, and you've landed here because you did all the right things. And I think the Robertson program really encourages you to think, okay, this is broadly what I want to do. And there's also other interests that I have, and I can spend my time exploring those things as well. And it doesn't have to be just a transactional boom, boom, boom. This is what your life looks like because you're taking these steps. And I think I've had people ask me, how did you get into impact finance? What were the steps you took? And always looking back is 2020. But if I told you now that I worked for a Hawaiian shirt company in Bali one summer, and I also spent another summer doing research on wine in California, you'd say, well, what are you doing in impact finance? How did you work in M&A? How did all of this fit together? And I think that the Robertson really encouraged me to think about how all of that can lead you to what you're ultimately meant to do and how you can be better and stronger at what your strengths are and how to make the world even better due to the experiences that you have that aren't the traditional experiences. So I think the Robertsons really challenged me to think about that differently and challenged me to think about leadership in a way that is really forging your own path rather than doing what's safe or doing what's traditional. Being a woman in finance, I cannot emphasize the importance enough of mentorship. And I think the Robertson really instilled that in me with the wonderful mentors that I had from the program, female, male, all across the board, and really having people that supported me and really showed me that you can take risk and risk is a good thing and you always should be challenging yourself. And there will be people that you can fall back on when you don't know what the right answer is, and they can help you get to a solution.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the mentorship piece because I think that's another one of the big leadership practices. You're right. It's not just finding what position you want. It's about giving back to people in those small ways too.